Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this regular meeting, Tuesday, November 16th. If we would, let's start the meeting off with prayer and pledge. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for this day that you have given unto us. As we live in it, we look for you today to be with us in our understanding, be with us in our discussions. God, help us to know what discretion means today. Help us, God, to make every attempt to make not only our today good, but every tomorrow you might give us here in this wonderful place we call home. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mr. Rowan, I believe you're up next is today's organizational meeting.
Yes, it is, Commissioner. So today is the day we do every year we do our organizational meeting. And so you do three things. You select a chair, vice chair, and if anybody wants to come off of any committee assignments, you let the chairman know, and we try and reassign someone to that committee. So it has been the board's, if you want to use the term policy, but practice for some time now that each chair and vice chair serves for 2 years at a time. And so I think Commissioner Jones, as chairman, has done 1 year, so this would be his second year. So I would need a motion from the board, reappointing, if I may say, or just appointing Commissioner Jones to the second year as chairman.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I think Commissioner Lockley and Bolt seconded.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
In the same manner, I would need a motion for the vice chairman. Commissioner Bolt, we had a quick discussion this morning. He said he would consider serving another year. If the board would have him, it won't be a problem. So I need a motion reappointing Commissioner Bolt as vice chairman.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, since now we go to committee assignments, are there any committees that anyone would like to get off of? That's an odd way to put that statement, but I'll
That's
do it
what we
anyway.
know,
That's
though.
what it comes down to. Okay, it seems like I hear none. Mr. Chairman, first, congratulations on your reappointment. Secondly, the only action item in my report is basically a committee assignment. Would you like me to address that now or wait?
Please do.
Okay, so page 8, everyone. Item number 19 on the agenda, my 19A. At your last meeting, I informed the board of the Small Counties Coalition's request to have the board appoint what is being referred to as a commissioner champion designee and a lead staff liaison to work with and support the Department of Economic Opportunity with the Access 67 County Champion Program, which is the state's broadband initiative. In addition, I guess I should do this, huh? In addition, the board would appoint a cross-section of community members to what would be known as the county's Local Technology Planning Team, LTPT. Small County Coalition sent another email stating the importance of appointing the commissioner and staff member and submitting it to DEO as soon as possible, as, and I quote, "it ensures that your county will be linked in a collaborative network with designees from counties around the state, with our effort to support DEO and to work with the provider network. The board can consider the appointments to the LTPT at a future meeting." So I'm seeking board action to appoint a commissioner as the commissioner champion designee and a staff member as the lead staff liaison for the Access 67 County Champion Program. It has mostly been the chairman and a staff member who they say is being appointed throughout the state. The chairman of the county commission and someone from staff. We don't have a true IT department here, so I guess that's the other hat that I wear. Unless Mr. Pierce would like to serve IT.
If you want to go back to Stone Age, you point me.
Just checking.
I make a motion to appoint the chairman as Commissioner to lead the project, and Mr. Michael Marone is the county staff designee.
We have a motion by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimous.
Okay, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Does it for your report, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll move back to the regular meeting. Up next will be payment of the county bills.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion from the commission? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is a unanimous vote. Up next is public comments. And Michael, you said there were none online, correct?
There were none online, and let me
Okay.
check right now.
Taking these in no particular order, the first one in front of me is Miss Victoria Hart. Miss Hart, if you would please come to the podium, state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Victoria Hart. I live in Lanark Village, 1080 West Pine Street. I'm here today to talk about the St. James Lanark Volunteer Fire Department. Thank you. And the Florida Sunshine Laws. And I read about 70 pages of the Florida Sunshine Laws before coming here today. And I've put together a 6-page document related to the violations of the Florida Sunshine Laws that the Lanark Village Fire Department has conducted. And I can provide that to you via email or messaging, whatever you want. The first issue is that there's a conflict of interest. There's 3 members on the board right now that I know of, and that is David Curry, his girlfriend Tiffany, and his sister Michelle. There's a conflict of interest, obviously, because David Curry is also the fire chief, and you cannot be in both roles. His sister is a firefighter, and she is the sister of him, which is another conflict of interest. And Tiffany, I don't know when she was ever elected to the board or appointed to the board, but she's the girlfriend. And that's obviously a conflict of interest also. At the last meeting in November, we asked for a copy of the 2005 bylaws, and he refused to give it to us. He said he had given Commissioner Bolt a copy of the bylaws and told Commissioner Bolt to not give them to us, which is against the law also. Also, he in the comments that he made during the board meeting, he said he was going by the 1997 agenda. I'm sorry, the 1997 bylaws rather than 2005 that were amended in 2005. There's a question about the residence of his girlfriend, that she is actually in Wakulla County, but she's living at his house. So that's another conflict of interest that, in terms of him and the girlfriend being at the same residence. He does not have a valid driver's license. It's been canceled, and yet you're going to hear some testimony today that he was out driving the fire truck the day before yesterday. And that's pretty common, that he's out driving county vehicles. If he's driving without a license and he's driving a county vehicle or a fire department vehicle and he's in an accident, the insurance would be invalid and we would be set up for a lawsuit. Also, at one time he was living in the firehouse and he became evicted. And lately, since the water has been turned back on, we see lights there at night and cars there at night, and obviously something's going on at the firehouse at night. Whether he's moved back in or not, I don't know. The next thing that happened at the meeting was that I had asked in October if I could have a copy of the bylaws, and specifically related to the election process. And that November meeting should have been for nominations, and the election should have been in December. When I asked about that in the November meeting, he said that the nominees had already been advanced forward, which is against the law, because it must have been done by secret ballot, because it wasn't done in the October meeting. There were no special meetings called, and it wasn't done in the November meeting. In the November minutes, it was not mentioned at all. So that his secret ballot of the nominees for the board is invalid and it's illegal. And when you look at the Florida Sunshine Laws, the Florida Fire Department is supposed to have a website. It hasn't been updated since 2019. At one point, in the Florida Sunshine Laws, it says that it's okay to live stream the meetings, and yet in the November meeting, he objected to the live stream that was going on. For every single one of these violations, it's 6 days in jail and $500 fine. And I'd like to know who's going to enforce this, because we cannot have illegal meetings going on in the Lanark Village Fire Department. And we cannot have people that are there that have conflict of interest. Now, several people have resigned from the board. After they walked out of the November meeting, I asked the audience if I could come forward and help them have a community meeting about what's going on. And we held a community meeting. We have nominees for the December election, and we plan on having an election of our nominees. But I want this board, I want the commissioners to reject and remove David Curry, his sister, and his girlfriend from the board. And to follow up on the Sunshine Laws. You know, we can't have these meetings that are completely illegal and let them get away with it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Hart. Ms. Debbie Jordan.
Good morning, Commissioners, Attorney Schuler, Ms. Marone. Thank you very much to everybody here to hear us out about our continued concerns with the St. James Lanark Volunteer Fire Department. The first correction I want to make is that, as we understand, the legal name of the girlfriend of the fire chief is Chastity Nicole Baker, also known as Nikki, Nikki, who resides at the whose address is at I believe it's 1953 South Choppy Highway at the intersection of Surf Road and South Choppy Highway, who has a child who attends Wakulla schools but is residing with her in our county. I think that this is relevant, so I want to make sure that that's noted. I would like the following things to go on record. One is that there is no public notice as a habit has not been given from this fire department for their meetings. They have other people sometimes announcing on private Facebook groups for the Lanark Village community. This fire department is to serve from Lake Morality Road to part of summer camp, and I believe also to the northern boundary of those lines. There are homeowners in St. James Bay that don't have a clue that the water had been turned off at this unit, that the chief doesn't have a driver's license, all the liability associated with it, the risk of increased property insurance and taxes and safety if these things are not in compliance. And while I understand that you are not law enforcement, but I feel that this is of great importance that this get recorded with the county. With the day before yesterday, I'm one of the witnesses. There were several witnesses, and there is some statements, affidavits done that David Curry was indeed driving that fire engine, that his girlfriend, who was riding shotgun with him, and they were seen by several people, and there are two different videos that I know of, and I can list eye accounts to law enforcement. I did speak with Captain Brad Segree yesterday, and gave a sworn statement, and I'm one of a few parties who did it. So I'm one person here. Ms. Hart is one person here, but we represent several people with grave concerns about this. When I alerted St. James Bay to the severity of what's going on, they're upset, and I think you're going to hear a lot more from them. There has been refusal to respond to FOIA requests, which have been sent by email and sent by text and sent in person. To working together, Attorney Schuler and Michael Marone have managed to get me some of what they were handed to, what we understand was handed to Mr. Bolt upon George Briesker's resignation. However, we understand that the checkbook and that the checkbook and the computer were handed over to David Curry and his girlfriend. From our understanding, there's about between a 40,000 CD and checking. That's about $125,000, of which the following morning he wrote a single signature check for $15,827. He single signature check that he turned in to pay the water bill. I think that the check was returned. I don't know, so I don't want to speculate. Franklin County Sheriff's Office knows Curry's license is suspended. In a news story, if you watch WCTV, you can look it up for a two-part story under fire. Curry says, I operate on what I call a work license. He does seem to have some limitations with his intelligence as far as the understanding that an EVOC, an emergency vehicle operator certificate, does not in itself replace a driver's license. It goes hand in hand, and they do expire, and he has had a canceled driver's license for years for non-payment to the Department of Revenue for delinquent support. And he continues to drive and has been seen by many parties, many of which are reluctant to step forward, but now people are stepping forward. We are very concerned about MSBU money being given out to these people that are just throwing it to the wind and buying the things that were listed on the audit, which we still don't know. Where is that audit? Who is investigating it? Every story I get is different. I've been told there's no prosecutable findings. I've been told we never saw the audit. It never crossed our desk. And I've been told it was handed, each official that I've talked to, I have not gotten the same answer, and I don't understand why our monies would be going there. I have concerns about a travel trailer and a Mustang vehicle being stored on that premises, and the unsanitary and non-ADA compliant status that there when they had no water and they were having meetings there. I'm mobility impaired, and I don't want to try to risk going into someplace that's not sanitary and have to climb into what they had a portage on there to try to use the restroom if I needed to go. We want to know, we want to see the bank statements. As in fact, my understanding that the bank statements, which I requested, do not require redaction of the account numbers because it's public information, and to redact it would mean that it you can't prove that it actually is from that account. David Curry again said, I go by the 1997 bylaws. He said that at the November meeting. Well, we are not, they refused to provide them. I went to the Division of Corporations, and I paid for certified copies for all the associations in the neighborhood. They are the only ones that didn't have bylaws, but
Excuse me, Ms. Jordan.
almost done.
Okay. It's
Okay.
just been over 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Yep. And I will say that I'm not saying that this is not an important issue. I'm not saying that at all. But we had some that was spelled out in writing what we're doing. Ms. Hart, how can I help you?
Can I just add one more comment?
Yes, please.
Thank you. On Facebook, they are saying that you have to be a member of the fire department district in order to vote in December. And yet they do not have membership applications at the fire department itself. And when you ask them for it, they said that your membership has to be approved before you can vote. I believe that's also illegal. And the second thing is it's discriminatory. If somebody is out there on the board and they're approving or disapproving of someone else's membership, that is discriminatory, and it is against the law.
Thank you, Ms. Hart.
And I'd like a clarification. I think that all residents of Lanark Village Fire Department should be allowed to vote if they want to vote. I've also got a petition online to remove him and to recall him if he happens to be elected again.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. This is a very important issue, and I wasn't trying to hurry up Ms. Jordan, it was just for the sake of time. Anyway, that was public comments. We don't take action under public comments as a protocol, so that's why there wasn't a whole lot of back and forth from the commission. Thank you for your comments, though. Nobody else turned in one online, sir?
No,
Okay.
sir, that was it.
All right, so next we'll go to Clerk of Courts, Ms. Michelle Maxwell.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
In an effort to preserve and share Franklin County's history with the public, I am requesting archival digitalization of 299 record books in the Franklin County Clerk's Office. The Clerk's Office is the official recorder and custodian of all records and documents placed in Franklin County official records. We currently have records on my website that date back to 1986. The records that are being requested to be scanned date back to 1855. If the board approves of this project, official records dated 1855 to present would be available to our constituents on my website. You will be able to search index books, view and purchase document records And having this information available on my website is better to serve our customers by using internet-based technology and support. The website is designed to provide 24-hour internet-based remote access to our official records as an alternative to in-person courthouse access. I will now turn it over to Trey Sisholm. He's with CoFile, and he is going to present his proposal for scanning these records.
Okay.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All of you should have a copy of the presentation and the agenda this morning.
Okay.
But what I'm seeking is to use ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act. It's this, by digitizing all these records and making them accessible to the constituents of this county is very COVID friendly. I know that the courthouse never closed, but it did close for outsiders to come in, and more along did like curbside pickup if somebody was coming in and searching for records. So now if you go back from 1985 to sovereignty, you have to physically come to the courthouse, view the index book, find the book and page, and then find that actual book and page, and then make a copy of it. What this would do is digitize every single record that's inside of the courthouse for official records, land records, and get them online. Michael, you'll be happy to hear this, that there's no IT involvement. We handle everything from start to finish. And what I'm showing you here is what the application will actually look like. Once you click on the book and page, or the general index, you can see here, that's what your general index books looks like. It's hyperlinked, so once you click on that, it will actually populate, there we go. It'll actually populate the actual record and the book and page that was associated with that index line. So we've got actually a couple of books over here, and as you can see, they're deteriorating. This is the only copy, this is the only record that the clerk's got. This is it. So if something were to happen, maybe a fire, hurricane, water damage, this is the only copy that you've got currently. By digitizing these records and getting them online, you would actually get 3 copies. You'd have the original paper copy, you'd have a copy that she could have on-prem, and then something that's stored in the cloud with this application. Other counties in the state of Florida have done it. I've been a part of it. And again, it's very COVID friendly because anybody with an internet connection can access now these land records from anywhere. They don't have to come to the courthouse.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you said that can be paid out of COVID money,
Yes, sir.
wouldn't cost the county nothing?
Yes, sir. The American Rescue Plan Act came out after CARES. Trump signed CARES into, and then Biden signed into ARPA. There's far fewer restrictions when it comes to ARPA funds, but it has to do with COVID-related pandemics. And this is a prime example to where if you were closed to in-person visitations, this would give you that access.
Have we used all of it?
Commissioners, I did speak to Tracy Busby, and unfortunately for Franklin County, because we are not a revenue loss county, they have not released the final rule for us. So for our county, the ARPA funds at this point in time are still tied to water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, or it has to be tied directly back to COVID. I did speak to Tracy, and she was kind of on the fence. She didn't know if they would be able to tie the indexing of the old records back to the COVID, whereas some counties, if they did have the revenue loss, they were free to do pretty much whatever they wanted with the ARPA funds. So right now we're still under that restriction, but we're hoping by the time the final rule opens up that we will be able to do almost anything with the funds. Similar to the CARES funds, where at first it was so restrictive for us, and then by the end of the legislation it actually was expansive, and we were able to do what needed to be done with the proceeds. And we do have $82,811 left of our CARES funds, which is completely unrestricted, so that is available at this time.
How much what you talking cost?
Sir?
275.
275.
And this is directly related to the COVID pandemic. You didn't close, Clerk Maxwell, but there are several counties that closed their facilities for months on end. If a constituent came in and needed access to a record, they couldn't come in and physically search for that record. It had to be done by her or her staff and then delivered to them outside in the parking lot, kind of like curbside pickup.
And so, again, this is directly related to the COVID pandemic, and it gets everything online and accessible.
Mr. Chairman, I think, I mean, I know we're talking money here, but I think this is a great idea because how many times have our courthouse been flooded? And these documents, I mean, you can look how old the sheets are. I would hate for any documentation or old record we have, especially if it's the only copy, to just be obliterated and gone forever. In addition to people with mobility issues that can't access the courthouse or have transportation issues to find records, it's easier for them to possibly go online and just be able to get a warranty deed at the click of a button. I think that's a great idea. So I guess, when will we find out, Aaron, if, from Ms. Busby, if the
I think she told us, commissioners, by this time in December, by mid-December, we should have the final ruling on what we can and can't spend it on. And I'm maybe trade the idea is actually to have Trey talk to Tracy directly.
Yes.
I think that's what
That
I'm going to
would-
do. I'm going to give
that
you our
would be great.
consultant's
Yeah.
number, and let you guys have a conversation, because with you knowing how it was done in other counties, she could go and research that and see if one of her other counties she's providing that service for, maybe we can get this worked out. And then, and then we see where we go. Is there any chance of phasing this project, or it has to be an all or nothing at
No,
all?
absolutely, you can phase it. Yes, sir.
Can you?
Absolutely.
Is there extra cost for setting up every time we phase?
No, sir.
I
So
tell
we
you
could
what,
essentially do the 82,000.
Correct. You can start this project with the 82,
Okay.
and I could write a sales order that does not exceed the 82,000, which is left in CARES, and then depending on what
You
the
talk to
decision is in
Tracy,
December.
the consultant, and then we go from there.
Okay.
Yeah?
I tell you what, I make a motion, we do the 80-something,
And-
get it started.
And I will second that with a comment.
Wait a minute, I ain't through yet.
I thought you'd finish.
Excuse me. Do the 80-something, get it started, then check. You get that started, go find out what we can do with, the rest of it, if we gonna get it from there. And to make sure they come back and let us know, so we'll know which way we got to travel in.
So-
After, get it started with 82. Get the board back the information, whether they gonna be able to pay the whole thing or not. Then
So in your motion, before Commissioner both seconds and comments, can we call this phase one? Is that good for everybody?
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, you're good? Call this phase one, and this phase one would be this 82,000 roughly. And we do that, and we do research into see if we could do phase 2 and 3 if it's needed, depending on what Tracy says about the funding.
And another thing, we want this quick as possible,
Yes, sir.
We always do, sir. We always.
on the continue, but we need to know the information.
Yes, sir. If the clerk was to scan these on her own, she'd still be doing this 10 years from now, because you're talking about bound books. Right.
No way we would have time to do
And we can get this all done from start to finish in less than 6 months, and online and accessible to everybody.
And I would like to add, I've talked to all of the clerks who have used CoFile, and nothing but great reviews. And actually, they can look up documents quicker than we can, whenever they have them. So, I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Well,
Clerk Maxwell.
it's like this, everything go on computer.
It
So
is.
now or later, it's coming.
That's right. So we do have a motion by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Bolt. Go ahead with your comments, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask the obvious, are these records searchable? Meaning, you're looking for a keyword, perhaps in a whole group of records. Maybe the keyword be like the word buffalo, let's say, and
Yes,
that
sir.
might be a street name, or it might be some characteristic. Can you find records by searching for a keyword?
Today, no.
No.
With this, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying, with this outcome.
Yes, sir.
And then, obviously, you verified that they'll be online for the public to actually use.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if you search Buffalo, it's, if Buffalo's written in 299 record books 100 times,
Yeah.
it's going to pull
It'll
every single
pull
one.
that, all that result up.
Yes, sir.
Well, is this gonna cover all the department, just yours?
No, sir, this is just the official records.
official
This is
Official
not
records.
court records. I mean, this is 299 official records book. This is the original record that we have,
Yeah.
and it dates back to 1855. And this is what condition it's in, and we try to preserve it. We have it in a box. But when people come to look at this, every time they touch this paper, you know, it really needs to be preserved.
Yeah.
By doing this, also, you can prevent anybody else going through these books, because every single time somebody touches that piece of paper that's made from wood pulp and the acid on their fingers, it's going to continue to deteriorate where these records won't even be able to be read or legible anymore.
And I will have to add, because Mr. Noah, I don't think you were in here, we actually have John Gorey's original last will and testament that he wrote in this book from 1855. And
Yeah,
there's
I
no
read
other
it.
record, this is it. And also inventory on the ice machine is over here. So, I mean, we really need to preserve these books.
Good.
It's the only record. If something happens, it's gone forever.
Attorney Schuler, did you have something, sir?
Commissioner Bolt was raising his hand one more time.
Oh,
so-
just one more
Go
thing.
ahead, sir.
Do other counties charge for access to searchable records like this?
I don't think so.
Okay, and we
So-
don't either then?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Some do, and they maybe want to increase the revenue back to the clerk's office. Some make it free to everybody. That's up to you and the clerk.
Okay.
But we have that ability. If you want to charge an e-commerce piece, an e-commerce portal to where they have to charge and pay for records, or completely free.
But-
Either way.
But they will pay to print it out, though.
Yes,
Oh, yes,
there-
they'll pay to print it out,
yes,
Commissioner,
you
you're
would
aware.
have to pay to get the
Looking is one
copy.
thing, wanting to get a copy, an official record copy, that's a
Right.
different story.
Then how about downloading for personal copying? Would that be charged?
No, that's where you
That
have to
would-
pay.
That's where you pay for
Oh, for sure.
downloading as well as,
Yes.
okay. Thanks.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, hi, good morning. Michael Schuler, I'm the county attorney.
Good morning.
Question for you on ADA compliance relative to your system, because we had to face a federal lawsuit a few years ago about ADA compliance with our own web portals and websites. Can you address that issue for the board?
This is
I don't
full-
think I heard.
Yes, sir. This is full ADA compliant, and I could give that information, the actual, what it's written on our terminology to the clerk so that
Okay,
she can
yeah.
review it. But yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. And then I noticed the sample you have up here is from my good friend down in Hendry County. I was curious if the branding shown on the website for Franklin County would be as small relative to Co-File as it is for Hendry County. 'Cause
And I showed-
it doesn't look more, it looks more like a private website than a public website,
Right.
is my point.
We
And
talked about that.
We talked about that last night, and this is fully customizable to whatever you want. We could actually make it look like it belongs to the clerk's office, and our name wouldn't even be on the website.
Okay. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Just, all right, thank you very much. Those are the only two questions I had. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Commissioners? All right, so I guess with no further discussion, we will now vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
So we're starting phase one, apparently.
Thank you.
We just turned a corner
Thank you.
in modern times.
Clerk Maxwell, did you have anything else?
No, that was
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Not a problem, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, up next would be Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Roads and Bridges for Franklin County. We're waiting on you, sir. Yes.
Thought he was on there. Let me stop the screen sharing. Sir, okay. Howard, let me ask him to unmute. Hey, Howard, could you, oh, there he goes, I think. Nope. Hey, Howard, could you unmute your device? Nope, he's still. It's the little, you see like a little microphone with a little cross on it down in the corner? And I can't control that from here.
Can you hear me now,
Good.
Commissioner?
Yeah, we're good now, Howard. Thank you. Sorry about that.
This thing's about wore out that I got a new one ordered, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I've got no action items this morning, but, we still hanging in there, cutting grass, and it's finally got dried out enough that we can start cutting our ditches and putting ditches, grading roads, and, still real short of inmates too, Commissioner. We didn't get no inmates last week and got 5 inmates this morning, so as far as the inmate situation, still real short.
Howard, of the 5 you got, was that, I know you said before to us that they kind of designate, were those 5 all in one work crew, or was it they separated into?
No,
two?
sir, that's with 6 crews, Commissioner. I got 2 crews. I got 1 crew that didn't get none, and the other 5 got 1 apiece. So,
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
yes.
That, well, I gotta be honest, I think it would be better if we had more, but we can't control that.
They said it's supposed to pick up. I don't know when, but they said, maybe things will pick up as far as the inmate situation. So,
Well, I
do y'all
think,
have anything for me, Commissioner?
Commissioners, do y'all have any questions for Mr. Howard while he's here?
I got some insight from Howard yesterday that typically in normal operations, as many as 30 inmates at one time, divided up into 5 crews.
Yep.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Now, Howard, one more question about these crews. So you're saying that the county received 5 crews, or these total 5 crews serving both cities and the county?
I don't know. No, that's my crews. I got
Okay.
6 inmate crews,
Okay,
and I don't know what the city gets. So,
okay,
but I got one inmate squad. I didn't get none, and the other one I got 1 inmate per squad. So,
well, like you said, I've noticed that there's been an uptick in what's been able to be done, so thank you for what you are doing. We really do appreciate it.
yes, sir.
Make sure you tell your workers and the people that are working with you that we are very thankful for the job they do on behalf of our residents.
Yes, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Happy
Yes, sir.
Thanksgiving to you and your crew.
Did you hear him, sir?
What
Hear
was that?
Commissioner Lockley?
Happy
No, sir, I didn't.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your crew.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to all y'all. Yeah, that is next weekend. Time flying, ain't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to all y'all.
That's how focused you are on the job. You didn't know that was
Yes,
coming
sir.
up. Thank you, Howard.
Uh-huh.
I figured it would have been before another week.
There you go. All right, up next, Solid Waste Director, Mr. Fonda Davis.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
No action item. Just want to brief you a little bit on the payment for the walk track at D.W. Wilson. Received one quote for $27,928. That was including overlapping the whole track. But I was going to meet with them again and see if we could kind of shorten it up where we could stay within the bid amount. Also, the East Point property on Highway 98, been talking with them also. They have about 25 loads to dispose of. Again, been talking with them, trying to see what we can do with helping them out on the tipping fee. And that's all I have.
Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Davis? Fonda, I do thank you for continuing to work on these issues on behalf of our citizens. In Appalachia, that track, we want everything to be as useful as it can be and accommodating at all of our parks and recreational facilities. So thank you for doing that. As far as the cleanup on the dilapidated buildings coming into East Point, I think we're soon going to be able to get to a number that maybe they can agree to do. I don't know that this board is going to completely waive their tipping fees, but maybe we can come to some happy medium. So just keep
I
us up,
understand,
keep us
Commissioner.
updated.
Yes, you know, if you just ride 98 from east to west or west to east, you realize that these the only properties that's dilapidated like that, that's really look bad for the county.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can really do something to help them as far as the tipping fees.
No.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
Hey, Fonda, I believe, and you know, I have a little personal interest in this, I believe the one-shot basketball character building program starts today. I think the first game is at 5:30, over to the Matchbox, I think. So I know the game started at 5:30 this afternoon, and it's every Tuesday and Thursday, if the schedule I have in the house serves me correct. But again, I really like
Okay.
yeah, I really like that program. It's beyond just teaching basketball skills, it's also character building skills for the kids. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Good, appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your crew.
Yes, sir, we appreciate that. I will let them know, and again, same to you all.
Make sure you tell them also, Fonda, that we appreciate the job they do on behalf of our county and its residents.
Will do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Up next, Emergency Management Director, Ms. Pam Burnell.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I do not have any action items today.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Ms. Pam?
Pam, it's down about, what we got, 2 more weeks in storm season, couple more weeks.
Yes, sir. Right now, there's not anything out there.
So we're looking good. What about,
Fair.
what about the red tide? How we looking on the red tide?
I haven't gotten anything lately from the health department on that. We push it out as soon as we get it from them.
Okay.
The last FWC on Friday said there was still some light, they found it light to moderate samples here in Franklin County. I'll forward that the FWC report to you. Hey, don't do that.
I was going to say, I was on the island and I didn't notice any respiratory issues. I was there this weekend. So if it's out there, it's very minor.
Yeah, very, very slight.
So maybe we good with all, maybe all the disasters gone for the year.
I caught a redfish and ate it and didn't seem to hurt me.
That's one sure way to find out.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Pam, make sure you tell your staff thank you for the job you do, and happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Yeah, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Office Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Likewise, no action items today, but just a brief update on the vessel removal project. The contractors have gotten all of the targets, 15 that were on the list for Franklin County, except for the very last one they're working on right now. So they should be done by the end of the day. That one is a 27-foot sailboat that is several hundred yards out in the marsh off of the Little St. Marks River up in the head of the bay. And they have removed all of the hull from that one, and the only thing left is the keel, which is buried in the mud out there. But they have to get it out, so they're going back today to figure out how to pull that thing out of the mud and get the project completed. So very pleased with the speed that they got all of this work done in our county.
Yeah, that is very good to know, and we're glad too they were able to do it. It's very helpful to all of us.
And that's all I had, and I would say happy Thanksgiving to everybody there as well. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your staff, Mr. Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Mr. Ted Mosteller, Interim Airport Manager.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ted Mosteller, Airport. I'm still working hard on the issues at hand. We have large projects in the hands of the engineers, some of the FDOT and some staff here. I have no action items this morning unless you all have something for me. Discussion, questions.
Commissioners, y'all have any questions for Mr. Ted? All right.
Happy
Mr.
Thanksgiving,
Tiff-
everyone.
Happy
So
Thanksgiving.
before you go, I have one thing. I was told that he had called a meeting with FDOT, I think with Mr. Smith. I
Yes.
would ask that before you do that in the future, come and run it by me, let me run it by the 5, make
Okay.
sure they're aware of it.
Well, that was
And-
strictly between us.
Yeah, and also, because too, when you call that meeting, there was a lot of documentation that still wasn't in place, so they kind of reached out and like, so what I don't want to send out to FDOT, FA, is that the county is kind of confused, you're saying one thing, we're saying another, so let's be unified and do it together.
Okay, it was billed kind of as a workshop between us for informational purposes, for the
Yeah.
future of the airport, discussion of safety issues, et
Yes.
cetera.
Yeah, they said he wanted to discuss the one grant, the obstruction removal grant. and
There
I
were
said-
several grants
but
in
they
the
know
bill.
none of them were signed off. We just got 2 yesterday, by the way. Signed,
Fantastic.
both fully executed, so I gotta send you those emails.
Thank
But
you.
let's just coordinate together before you reach out to them to make sure we're all on the same page.
Very good.
Cool?
That
Thank
has
you.
been canceled, by the way, for the moment, postponed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ted.
Thank you.
Have a good
Happy
Thanksgiving, Ted.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, up next, TDC Administrator, Mr. John Solomon.
Morning, Commissioners. TDC Director John Solomon. Hate to break the trend. I have one action item on my report today. Wednesday, November 10th, the TDC Board approved to recommend awarding the first museum project grant to the Camp Gordon Johnson Museum for their paving project. They have requested $20,000 for the project. This is a reimbursable grant. Project must be completed before reimbursement is approved. The grant has been approved as acceptable by Ms. Erin Griffith before the TDC Board voted on recommending it to y'all, the commission. The action item is to approve or deny the grant application for the
So
museum
moved.
project.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Lockley, do you have a second?
I did.
Okay. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And the second thing is just the information item that we did collect $306,565.12 for the month of August. And so far, the collections total for the fiscal year is $2,294,173.25, and we still have one more month to collect in this fiscal year.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Solomon? John, please make sure you tell your vendors and people who work with you, staff, TDC board, happy Thanksgiving, and thank y'all for the job y'all do. on
And
behalf
happy
of the county.
Thanksgiving to y'all as well. Thank y'all very much for y'all.
Yes, sir.
Have a good
Okay,
day.
John.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I recommend a break as we prepare for
Yes.
planning and zoning?
So we'll take a
And the
5-minute recess.
Variances, thank you.
The actors who brought you Appalachia's Living Dead Ghost Tour comes A Christmas Carol. This theatrical street performance tour features the characters from the book telling the story of Ebenezer Scrooge. Don't miss this unique presentation of the Dickens classic Saturday, December 18th at Apalachicola from 6 to 8 p.m. Tickets are $10 each and kids 12 and under are free. Tickets are being sold at the start of the tour in front of the Chamber of Commerce. This presentation of A Christmas Carol is a must-see for the whole family. Bah humbug.
Celebrate the 126th birthday of Crooked River Lighthouse in Carabel, Florida. On Saturday, November 27th from 6 to 10 p.m., see the amazing TCC Glow-in-the-Dark Dancers, beautiful Celtic music with kalaval, blacksmithing and ancient craft demonstrations, and 126 awesome lanterns. Climb the tower and visit the museum and gift shop. Don't miss this evening of history and enchantment funded in part by the Franklin County Tourist Development Council.
It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, will be presented by the Panhandle Players December 3rd through the 5th at the Chapman Theater in Apalachicola. This well-known holiday classic will be brought to the stage in the form of a live radio show where over 10 actors will bring to life the characters from the story. There will be holiday music throughout the show as well as live sound effects right from the stage. It's a Wonderful Life is a must-see for the whole family. Tickets are $20 each and you can get them online at panhandleplayers.com or at the door. This event is funded in part by the Franklin County TDC.
Today we're going to discuss preventative medicine. If you come to Weems and establish a primary care physician, even if you're feeling great, considering your family history and other risk factors, it's important to follow up and pursue preventative medicine. Getting some basic labs, thinking about the future. Just want to sit down and talk to somebody who has a little bit of medical knowledge and can kind of point you in the right direction. I think that's the role of your primary care physician, taking some time, discussing your concerns, talking to you about your family history, about what's going on in your life, and intervening and helping you to understand kind of what's going on with your current medical conditions.
Hi, I'm Kara Landis. I'm a professional realtor in love with St. George Island. When my husband and I and our dogs moved here in 2002, it was the beginning of an adventure that has never grown old in a community that is amazing. If you're thinking about moving to St. George Island or investing in our world-class real estate, then this community will be as important to you as the sand and surf.
Well, Kara to me is much more than an agent. She's become a friend, and since we bought the house, we've needed work done, and she knows everybody there is that can help us with that.
One of the key elements for the historical growth and value of St. George Island real estate is the fact that it's a great place to vacation and to live. The beauty of the Gulf of Mexico with its white sand beaches and blue sky has always been a magnet for me. It was love at first sight. As your realtor, I can help educate you on the various aspects of buying and owning coastal properties. From taxes to coastal setback lines to where to find the best oysters, it's all part of being your realtor.
Too often our friends tell us of it being a hardship to buy a house, and the agent was gone as soon as the closing. We've had quite the opposite experience with Kara.
If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on St. George Island, I'd love to work with you. Please call or text me at 850-653-7753.
Fisherman's Choice Bait and Tackle has all you need for your day of fishing. They have fresh and saltwater bait, an unmatched selection of mirror lures, and a wide selection of Berkley Gulp, plus fresh and live bait and all the rigs and tackle you need for a great day of fishing, including brands like Penn and Shimano. They are also the only bait and tackle shop in Franklin County where you can get a fishing license. And don't miss their wide selection of marine supplies, coolers, and more. Fisherman's Choice is located at 330 Highway 98 in East Point. Who brought you Appalachia's Living Dead Ghost Tour comes A Christmas Carol. This theatrical street performance tour features the characters from the book telling the story of Ebenezer Scrooge. Don't miss this unique presentation of the Dickens classic Saturday, December 18th in Apalachicola from 6 to 8 p.m. Tickets are $10 each and kids 12 and under are free. Tickets are being sold at the start of the tour in front of the Chamber of Commerce. This presentation of A Christmas Carol is a must-see for the whole family. Bah humbug.
Celebrate the 126th birthday of Crooked River Lighthouse in Carabel, Florida. On Saturday, November 27th from 6 to 10 p.m., see the amazing TCC Glow-in-the-Dark Dancers, beautiful Celtic music with kalaval, blacksmithing and ancient craft demonstrations, and 126 awesome lanterns. Climb the tower and visit the museum and gift shop. Don't miss this evening of history and enchantment, funded in part by the Franklin County Tourist Development Council.
In regards to our swing bed program, for critical access hospitals, we have these special designations called swing bed, which are inpatient rehab types of programs. We have a nice new physical therapy room with lots of new equipment, as well as occupational therapy. We'd love for you to take advantage of. If you've had something like a joint replacement or some sort of significant hospitalization where you've been weakened, you have a family member, for example, who's had those situations in a different area, and you'd like them close to you so you can visit them or check in on them regularly, we could always offer those services to your family members so you can be close to provide them with emotional and social support.
It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, will be presented by the Panhandle Players December 3rd through the 5th at the Chapman Theater in Apalachicola. This well-known holiday classic will be brought to the stage in the form of a live radio show where over 10 actors will bring to life the characters from the story. There will be holiday music throughout the show as well as live sound effects right from the stage. It's a Wonderful Life is a must-see for the whole family. Tickets are $20 each and you can get them online at panhandleplayers.com or at the door. This event is funded in part by the Franklin County TDC. Can't be near the beautiful beaches of Franklin County? Tune in to Forgotten Coast TV, Franklin County's local cable channel. Watch shows and videos about our beautiful area, including our beaches, museums, shops, and more. Watch it wherever you are on Roku and Amazon TV. Also, make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. Forgotten Coast TV is Beachin' TV. Our beautiful piece of paradise. Please make sure you visit our local shops, restaurants, galleries, and take some time to experience something different and take a fishing trip or tour with one of our experienced guides. Our neighbors and their businesses are the heartbeat of our community. Thank you for visiting, and remember to shop local, eat local, and fish local. This message is brought to you by the Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce.
Celebrate the 126th birthday of Crooked River Lighthouse in Carabel, Florida. On Saturday, November 27th from 6 to 10 p.m., see the amazing TCC Glow-in-the-Dark Dancers, beautiful Celtic music with kalaval, blacksmithing and ancient craft demonstrations, and 126 awesome lanterns. Climb the tower and visit the museum and gift shop. Don't miss this evening of history and enchantment, funded in part by the Franklin County Tourist Development Council.
Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Up next is Board of Adjustment, variance request.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I apologize. Mr. Chairman, I don't know quite, Courtney's on the phone and in the office, but I don't know, she and I haven't really coordinated this completely yet, so. So,
So
now-
basically you follow the
Yeah,
agenda,
yeah,
and
but,
then she's gonna
yeah.
follow you.
Okay, all right. So let me just say that, on Michael's report, I'm filling in for Courtney on a temporary basis here, we'll see how it goes. So as Yogi Berra says, this feels like deja vu all over again. So we'll see how well it goes. Courtney's technology and Michael's technology are way ahead of me, so we're just gonna see how it works here. All right, so the first item is the Board of Adjustment. As you all know, the Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning are combined now into one board, and they meet once a month, the combined meeting on Tuesday night. So these actions are from last week's meeting. And the variance request of BOA goes first, and so you have item 667, Ballpoint Road, a consideration of request to construct a house in the critical 1,000 square foot house, which is the county requirement if you're going to go into critical habitat, and they're going quite a bit in the critical habitat, and also into the front setback, 10 feet in the front setback. And if you can scroll to the next picture there, it's pretty obvious. There's a series of lots along Ballpoint Road. There is right there, Courtney, and you see the blue is the subject property where the variance was proposed, and you can see the houses north and south of that. There's a configuration. You have Ballpoint Road on the east side, and you have this marsh area on the west side. And these lots were created some number of years ago. This individual is buying 2 lots, so that's why that blue shaded area is larger than the other parcels you see there. He's combining 2 lots into one building parcel. It gives him more length along the road, but obviously doesn't give him any more width, and that's where he's jammed. He's jammed on the front and on the rear. So he's requested a variance to fit in to the property. At the time of the request, he was making an application on his own, and we didn't have a letter from the property owner, but now the letter from the property owner has been received, and Courtney has it. So that was the condition of the, that's the condition of the variance board, that the letter from the owner has been received. And so the variance board, in fact, let me just ask, are y'all calling it P&Z? What's the board called now?
Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board.
Okay, all right. So the Planning and Adjustment Board has recommended in favor of this thing.
Mr. Chairman, just to confirm for the record, this is, one of the variances being requested was into the critical habitat zone, and this application is consistent with the board's policy limiting the footprint of the heated and cooled space to 1,000 square feet. And I don't think you mentioned that the proposed house is going to be in line, because I know this was an important issue that Mr. Pearson and I discussed. He noted that the house itself will be in line with other houses in the neighborhood that have already been granted variances.
Right, yeah, Courtney, if you go back to that initial photograph, you'll see how the orientation is.
Mr. Chairman?
Right there.
Yes, sir.
How does this big carport fit into that?
I haven't been on the site. I can only go by what the record reflects, which is a 35-foot encroachment, and I haven't checked to see where the site. Oh, I see. Well, I presume
The carport is 3 times as big as a house. So if you didn't have a carport, would you still need this variance?
You know what, that question didn't come up, and I can't answer that based upon my knowledge at this time.
I mean, if it's buildable for a carport, why isn't that land buildable for the house without having to have a variance?
Well, isn't the carport under the house?
No, I don't know where it's at.
Oh, yeah, the
Shows it on
carport's under the
side.
house. Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner. Yeah, the carport's under the house.
It's under the house?
Yeah, it's a pile supported house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's, Courtney, if you'll scroll down, there's a picture of the structure, Courtney, further on the file. Right there, stop, there you are.
Yeah. But I mean, the carport's still bigger than the footprint of the house, so there ain't no way that carport fits under that house.
Because, well,
No.
The carport's 35 by 24.
Yeah.
The house plan showed 11 foot by 18.75.
So Commissioner, you see where what I'm thinking is this is right. Courtney, go back to that point. Okay, I think this is the house. That right there on the side is just, if you see that picture. Okay, I'm sorry, Courtney, go back up down to the picture of the house now. The other way. Jared, you see, you see what I'm saying?
That's the house, that is the house?
Yes,
That's
and
the house.
that little thing on the side is just right here.
Okay,
You see where I'm
okay.
coming from now?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
You're with me, right, Alan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I've visited the property, talked with neighbors. Right now, that property is obviously highly overgrown with a lot of vegetation. And there is a multi-year precedent along that particular strip of homes there on Ballpoint Road, where folks over maybe as many as 20 years ago, got to build there. And they made allegedly certain add-ons to their property that allowed them to do it, and then maybe or maybe not got a permit. And so there's this momentum of precedent. Certainly we are looking at better technology today as we look at some of these site plans. I do understand where we are. This property maybe for the records, I just should say it just looks like very, very strained to push this thing. You're pushing it from 3 directions asking for variances, and you're within 15 feet of the wetlands. And I understand all of that. It's just very, very awkward position here with this property. But I'm going to go ahead and, with some reluctance, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this variance. But boy, do I have my tongue in cheek about it.
So we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
I'll second, because it looks like the PZA board recommended approval, so I'm going to go with what they've directed.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, the second item then is a request for variance to construct a house in the front setback. This is on St. Teresa Avenue. St. Teresa Avenue is a road that is got many issues with it, and so this variance doesn't make it any worse than all the other variances on St. Teresa Boulevard. So P&Z recommended in favor. Mark had done a fairly thorough analysis of this, and that was presented at the P&Z board. And I didn't have any additional comments just because I know St. Teresa is just a nightmare from a planning standpoint because the road is not really open and everybody's everywhere out there.
And Mr. Chairman, I so move approval.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote.
And that is your BOA agenda, and then you have P&Z's next.
Yes, sir.
And on planning and zoning, you have, the first one is a standard dock permit. P&Z recommended approval of it, contingent upon the state and federal, which is how you normally act. And so I don't know anything unusual about this 16A. They recommend approval, and I certainly agree.
So move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Next item is a preliminary plat approval, and this, for y'all who picture this is a property that's adjacent to the, it's in Lanark Village, sort of downtown Lanark Village, if you want to call it that. It's adjacent to the boat ramp area. It was property that was used to be zoned commercial, and then, and I really forget when, but we considered this a down zoning from commercial to an R1A. So sewer and water was available. It happened a long time ago. I mean, 25 years ago. I forget, but there was some reason we changed it from commercial to residential. Anyway, so this is currently zoned to R1A, and so they're trying to put a subdivision there consistent with those R1A standards, which means the lots are 14,000 square feet. There are lots that same size just to the west of this property. You will see them there. So there are going to be 6 lots on this parcel. That's central sewer and water is available. There are the lots. What this shows on the subdivision plat, those outlines on the lots, that's the building footprint. So you see each lot has a building footprint without any additional variances being required if this goes through. So planning zone recommend in favor of this subdivision plat, or preliminary plat, I should say.
So move for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion, Commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I oppose.
We have one opposed.
Okay, and that's the end of the report.
All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. All right, up next, Ms. Erin Griffith, Fiscal Manager and Grants Coordinator. I'll get it out in a minute, sorry.
Okay, Commissioners, item A, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection has been allowing the county to operate under a statewide emergency final order, an EFO, that had been issued after Hurricane Michael for the reconstruction of Alligator Drive. The EFO has now expired. Clay Kennedy with Dewberry met with FDEP, and the simplest solution to let the county continue the reconstruction of the road is to issue a permit specifically for the road. This added step will not change the design, timelines, or any of the conditions, only the way the reconstruction is authorized. Board action to sign the FDEP permit application when it is completed by Dewberry, and it is ready now because he got it to us this morning. So we do have that available for you all. So board action to approve the chairman's signature on the permit application for the reconstruction of Alligator Drive.
So move.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion?
Well, I'll just say that Clay called me about this thing, and I will tell you the state of Florida is as eager to get this road rebuilt as we are. This has been a nightmare from a permitting standpoint for them as well as us.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous vote.
Item B, Franklin County has received a SCOP grant agreement from the Florida Department of Transportation for the Womack Creek culvert repairs on CR 67. This phase entails the survey, design, permitting, and preparation of the construction plan, specifications, and bid documents for the construction of new head walls, cleaning and repairs of arch corrugated metal pipes, and the addition of barrier walls to replace the guardrails over the culvert. Board action to approve the attached grant agreement and resolution authorizing the chairman's signature for the Womack Creek culvert repairs.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley and Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote.
Item C, in late September, the Florida Historical Commission reviewed and scored all of the applications that were submitted for the 2023 Historic Preservation Grant Cycle. The Carabel Beach Wayside Park project was ranked 46 out of 77 applications in the attached ranking summary. As the pavilions and restroom building have neared a critical point with deterioration of the concrete picnic pavilions, it would be prudent to proceed with the restoration utilizing the $80,484 in Hurricane Michael insurance proceeds, which was initially pledged as grant match, and ask the TDC if they would also support the project using tourist development sales tax proceeds within the available balance of the 10% beach park funding limitation. There is approximately $52,745 in additional funds available for beach park facilities at this time. Subject to funding limitations and also the need to keep the park partially open during the restoration and construction could be completed in phases, the west pavilions, east pavilions, restrooms, or by condition of individual structures. Barnett, Franzak, Barlow, and Schuler were the architects used in the 2016-2017 rehabilitation project for the interior of restroom renovation and roof replacement for the park, and we requested a fee proposal from them to develop the plan specifications, bid documents, and construction inspection because of their prior experience with the park location. The architectural and engineering fee proposal is $23,800, and this will be the first step in the restoration process. Board action to approve the attached fee proposal for architectural and engineering services for the Carabel Beach Wayside Park restoration project.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? I do have one thing I want to discuss, and it really may be past what we're approving here today. And it would be contingent on taking it back to the TDC board to make sure they're good with it as well. But Aaron, wouldn't it be possible for us to, if it took it to get it done all at one time? The TDC, as I understood it, took out a loan to do the restroom project on the island.
Yep.
So we're paying 10% a year. Couldn't we just change that loan, instead of being the restroom loan, be it for beach park facilities and extend the loan?
We could look at that.
You know, so we could do it all
Yeah.
at one time is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we can definitely explore that
So
option.
just an option. Okay, any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Let's see, item D, budget resolutions. Attached are 9 resolutions for the adoption of unanticipated revenues as part of the end of the fiscal year bookkeeping. These funds were not included in your original adopted 2020-2021 budget because at the time of the budget adoption, they were unanticipated. Florida Statute 129 allows a county 60 days after the end of a fiscal year to incorporate unanticipated revenues into the prior year's budget. This is the final installment of budget resolutions to conclude this process. The first resolution is for $7,875 in state grant funds received from the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program relative to the administration of the SHIP program. The second resolution is for $169,035 in federal funds received from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation relative to coronavirus relief funding assistance. The third resolution is for $114,485 in state funds received from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation relative to the administration and aid provided for the Hurricane Housing Recovery Program. The fourth resolution is for $336,038 in loan proceeds received from People's South Bank relative to the loan to build the new restrooms on St. George Island. The fifth resolution is for $1,860,477 in federal funds received from the U.S. Department of Treasury for the CARES Coronavirus Relief Program. The sixth resolution is for $2,465 in additional state aid grant funds from the Florida Department of Agriculture and $704 in additional FEMA match waiver funds received from the Florida Division of Emergency Management for the Mosquito Control Department. The seventh resolution is for $692,500 in loan proceeds from leasing to $145,188 in tipping fee revenues, and the $30,000 in trade-in sales proceeds for the purchase of the new tub grinder at the landfill. The eighth resolution is for $319,246 in loan proceeds received from leasing to, and $287,000 in trade-in sales proceeds for the rolling dump truck lease agreement for the road department, whereas the 2020 trucks were replaced with the 2021 model year trucks. The ninth resolution is for $1,000 in federal grant revenues relative to the administration of the American Rescue Act of 2021 program. Board action to adopt the 9 attached budget resolutions.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item E is line item budget amendments. I have 4 line item budget amendments for approval by the board. Budget amendments simply move budget amounts between the line items during the fiscal year. Item I, let's see, the budget amendment below is needed to adjust the line items to cover additional expenses in the Planning and Zoning Department, which has shared expenditures with the Administrative Services Department. Item 2, the budget amendment below is needed to adjust line items to move budgeted funds from the Professional Services line item to fund the Fiscal Management Department. Item 3, the budget amendment below is needed to move budgeted funds from the Mosquito Control Reserve for Contingency line item to the Mosquito Control Pesticides line item for additional pesticides purchased in last fiscal year to combat the Zika virus. And item 4, the budget amendment below is needed to move budgeted funds from the Solid Waste Department to Animal Control and Parks and Recreation to cover shared operational expenses. Board action to approve the 4 line item budget amendments summarized above.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All that are opposed? That is a 5-0 vote.
Item F is board informational item only. The Transportation Alternative Funding Cycle is now open through the Florida Department of Transportation. And this cycle is open until February 24th of 2022. This is the funding source that Franklin County has used for sidewalks and multi-use transportation paths in the past. For practical purposes, the county should limit itself to 2 projects per year. During the last funding cycle, 3 projects were submitted: Otter Slide Road and Avenue A sidewalk in East Point, River Road multi-use path in Carabel, and the widening resurfacing of the multi-use path on St. George Island. Last year, the Otter Slide Road and Avenue A project was ranked first, River Road second, and the St. George Island path third. Otter Slide Road and Avenue A has since been funded. The board will need to decide if the other 2 projects should stay in rotation and River Road move to being ranked as first and St. George Island as second, or if there are any other projects that the board would like to add. Please let the planning office know as soon as possible if there are any additional projects that should be submitted for consideration. The board will need to authorize the project applications and formally rank the projects at a later date.
Mr. Chairman, I just got a real quick comment. Obviously, my sidewalk got funded, and I'm very happy to hear that. So I wouldn't mind seeing another district, since my district technically got the funding for this. I'll take River Road out of the equation at this moment in time. Maybe there's something in the future that could come up that they can do that. But I'm going to recommend another district get an opportunity to go second or go first instead of the River Road project.
Yeah, Aaron, when is the deadline for this, do you know?
It's going to be February of 2022, so we do have a little bit of time, but it does
Takes
take
a while
time
to get it together.
put the applications together.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Ward, thank you for that. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have a vision that a sidewalk would be very appropriate along Oak Street there in the Lanark Village area. And just I'm thinking of the elderly people there. I'm thinking of a lot of people that just use that pathway for dog walking and walking themselves, and I'd like to consider that if it's appropriate.
So, Aaron, maybe in the December meeting, can we get input from the commissioners and then have something to adopt?
Yep.
That would be great.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Anyone have anything for Ms. Griffin? Because I think she's at the end of her report.
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes.
a point of order. Ms. Griffin, when you mentioned that the 2 remaining items would presumptively, if I heard correctly, be ranked 1 and 2, and then Commissioner Ward said that she would, since she already had a project funded, that she would remove River Road. So if in fact that removal would require board action is what I'm driving. If in fact it is actually a 1 and 2, I wasn't quite sure if I heard you say that River Road would be the presumptive #1 ranked project for funding.
Actually, at this time, we'll come back in December and actually do the formal rankings.
Okay. I just wanted to
and
make
just
sure.
kind of have everything in the pot at one time. So.
Just want to make sure Commissioner Ward got what she wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Griffin. And happy Thanksgiving. We're not going to pass you up just because you're later in the meeting. Go ahead, sir.
All right, Commissioners, we already did my 1 action item. I only have 1 informational item for you that I need to discuss with inform the board of. The other 2 items that's not, nothing for you for us to discuss. The zoning office hours. So, and I'm going to summarize. I'm not going to go ahead and read it. You can read it. It's on the agenda. So basically, any day now, Ms. Bankston could say, "Okay, it's time," and she'll be out of the office. So she's working a few hours every day. Mr. Pierce is here. We agreed with Mr. Pierce. He would work Monday through Thursday in the morning hours or by appointment only. So we've changed the zoning hours. Not that we're locking the door. That's not what I'm saying. What I wanted to advertise to the public, if they want to be able to talk to Mr. Pierce about zoning questions, P&Z application question, a variance question, they prefer they come in the morning when he's here, or they can come in the afternoons. We have a form for them to fill out. They fill out all the information. We hand it over to Mr. Pierce. The following day, he does the research and call him back. So I should have done this probably 2 meetings ago when I put the plan in place, but I didn't. But I just want to basically inform the board and the public. There's a misunderstanding that we close the doors Monday through Thursday. No, we don't. It's just that the available staff may not be able to answer the zoning questions that the public might have for us, or the variance question, whatever it is. If Mark is available, he could help, but he not. Again, we just talked about working on grants. So a lot of times he's working on applications and grants, or he has other appointments that he's discussing with everyone else. So I just need to tell the board that and inform the public. And Mr. Pierce is standing with his hands in his pockets. I'm going to tilt the mic over.
Yeah, I would certainly want to assist the board in this, this temporary situation. I'll do the best I can to be here Monday through Thursday. I'm an example. Tomorrow, I have jury duty. And on Thursday, I have a doctor's appointment. I have a doctor's appointment on Thursday, and then next week is Thanksgiving. I'm going out of town. So I'm going to do the best I can to be available with the hours. But yeah, it's certainly these next 2 weeks, they're not going to be those hours. And I'll just have to do the best we can. See how long it goes. And I'll do this for a while. Hopefully, the return to normalcy will occur sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we're all expecting hopefully January if the timetable is correct at some point. But, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Chairman, that's fine and good. I just think that the community needs to be aware, and I don't want our constituents and our community to be lacking and when they need to get something done. I don't want the services to be compromised for our citizens. That's my only concern. So as long as that's okay and it's not compromised and they can still get what they need to get done and there's no delay, then I'm okay with that.
No, I understand, and I mean, none of the schedules for your meetings, which are you only have one meeting now, the planning and zoning, those are going to stay on the same schedule. So my presentation isn't going to alter the schedule, or my situation is going to alter the schedule. Certainly, Mark is here. Mark's a certified planner. He's got the same skill level I do. So if I'm not available, then Mark will just have to do some of that stuff, and we'll just have to see how it goes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's it basically for my report.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Michael, on this. It's informational, this about the library appointment for the Wild Board.
Yes, sir.
Is that something we need to take action on?
No,
or is that-
there's
okay.
that appointment, as I stated in the narrative, Commissioner, that is not appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. That is appointed by the Library Advisory Board. There were a couple, well, anyway, since they were inactive, there were 2 members still, so they kind of filled in with some other members just to get that seat filled. That's just for more information. You're aware that this particular, and I think they consulted with Commissioner Bolt also, who is your appointment, Mr. Chairman, on that board.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think everybody's good with that.
Good. Before we move on, Mr. Pierce, can I ask you a question, sir?
He was trying to negotiate jury duty.
I didn't ask. Yeah, right.
Just consulting
You
about
can't
jury
get out of jury duty. Earlier you were doing stuff for planning and zoning BOA.
Yes.
So I didn't ask it then, but you and I had a discussion yesterday about where we're at in the dredging project. So just, I don't want to make sure the rest of the board knows where we're at.
So, I mean, I encourage everybody, whoever's going to the FAC meetings this week, to talk to leadership that's available from any state agencies are there, or the Corps of Engineers are there. This is where we're at. With I gave the information to the Corps of Engineers for publishing the notices for the dredging project. So they now will do that directly through the Apalachicola Times or the new owner of that. And I haven't seen the notice, but I gave it to them last week. I presume the notice for the 2 Mile Channel is going to be, they told me it should be issued shortly. The reason 2 Mile Channel is going to be issued shortly is because the 2 Mile Channel is an uplands disposal area that we own. There's no big deal with the state of Florida. They're just going to reuse an existing disposal area. So that should be issued pretty quickly. The East Point Channel, because we had to create this new disposal area, it's an easement out that we're basically creating uplands out of Bay Bottom. And so the state of Florida has come in, and they said this a couple months ago, or a year ago, that, okay, Franklin County, you need to get an easement for that 26 acres of uplands that you're creating behind the backside of the breakwater. No problem. Dewberry's surveyed the thing. We've passed the information to the Division of State Lands, waiting them to authorize the creation of an easement. And in this era of COVID, nobody seems to have a schedule for when anything gets done. We've been waiting months for the Division of State Lands to finish their review of our proposed easement. The easement's what we just basically took what the Corps of Engineers said they're going to do, did a survey of it, gave it to the Division of State Lands, said, is this okay? We're waiting for their consent. There's a form we have to pay a small fee, and I haven't got that form signed, but the holdup really is the Division of State Lands. Just approve the darn easement. What's the problem? Once the easement's approved, then East Point permit can be issued according to both DEP and the Corps of Engineers. And then what I'm waiting for is the Corps of Engineers to give us construction plans. So our money is now available to us pending construction plans for the projects and a copy of the permit. So when the Corps of Engineers sends construction plans for either one of those projects and a copy of the permit, we'll send it off to the consortium, and then they will then front us the money essentially for the project. But the division, this easement thing, it's just sitting there somewhere on somebody's desk. So any incentive you can get to get that thing through the system would be great.
So let me ask you a question, Alan. Is it your opinion that this easement being issued for the East Point Channel is actually holding up both projects?
I don't know if it's holding up both projects. I don't know. The Corps had been working primarily on the East Point Channel to begin with, and so I don't think it's holding up the 2 mile because they're two separate permits, so two separate projects, two separate applications, everything's separate. Now whether the Corps, is putting them together, I don't know. But we're going to pay them separately, and we're getting two different permits from DEP.
Well, it would be my hope, and I'm not trying to be differential, it would be my hope that these projects would follow the same timeline this Board of County Commissioners has talked about the whole time I've been on this board.
I am still presuming that, and I've asked the Corps that, yes.
And it's not trying to be any way, but this will be now the third time that the 2 mile channel's been dredged since the last time.
And I'm not saying it's getting dredged first. I'm just saying that because the uplands disposal is easier for DEP to permit, that apparently that permit may be issued first. That doesn't mean the Corps of Engineers is going to dredge it first. I mean, they have told me they're still holding the same schedule and timeline, but this is now November. Where's the permit? Where's the dredge?
The timeline was September, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
But they're now saying we don't have the permit, so we can't do it in September. Now we're in October, now we're in November.
Right. But they claim they're ready to go as soon as things are
As
issued.
soon as the permit's issued.
Yep.
I mean, ready to go. Of course, they want their money up front. Well, I can't
Yes.
get them the money until I get the construction plans.
It has been an ongoing deal. That's why I wanted to make sure that the rest of the board knew what you had told
And
me.
I mean, commissioners, I'm not going to, we'll get on a diatribe, but the problem is, we're relying upon a federal agency to do a very small channel and they're a massive bureaucracy, and it just doesn't go very fast, very far, because they don't dedicate that much staff to it. And in the future, it may be in the county's best interest to figure out another way to get these channels maintained other than waiting for congressional allocations, which happen once every 20 years. It just takes too long.
Thank you, Alan.
No matter what, Mr. Chairman, no matter what the county decides to do, you're still gonna have to deal with the Corps. You're still gonna have to deal with DEP.
You would. You have to get permits
You're
from.
gonna have to go through jump the same hoops and do the same, because it ain't like if we hired our own contractor to do it, we don't have to have these permits.
No, you have to have the permits.
You gotta have stuff from the Corps, and you gotta have stuff from the state agencies.
And it would cost us a lot more money, admittedly, but, I'm not saying anything detrimental to the Corps. It's just not a high priority for them, and I think it has taken longer to get through their engineering part because they're just not prioritized. If you paid a contractor to get a permit, I think it could have happened faster. But it would have cost us a lot more money.
Thank you, Alan. All right. Up next, County Attorney Michael Schultz.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I have no action items for the board this morning.
Okay. Well, pursuant to what we have been asked about over the last several meetings, I'll ask you this.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not trying to overstep our bounds. Is it possible that this commission can at least find out where we are on the audit and everything that was turned over to the Sheriff's Department? Because constituents are asking us like we're responsible for it. We are not law enforcement. But at some point, I do believe the residents in Lanark Village deserve some kind of answer.
Okay.
And not just silence.
And also, Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
I don't know, I guess there's some confusion as to the investigation being done or not done in Ms. Jordan's comments. I guess she's confused as well. I don't know if there was an investigation done, or, I know that's not a board thing, but, obviously we've got to figure out what to do. Because I know, as all the other commissioners, we're all getting phone calls, we're all getting emails. There's 3 sides to every story. I know that the Sheriff's Office has been having meetings over there as well, and they're confused. I don't know. We just need to get some kind of basis on direction to make sure and ensure that the Lanark Volunteer Fire Department is doing what they're supposed to do, and things have been done accordingly.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I will get with Mr. Morone and we will follow up and provide a report to you before the next board meeting. As far as what the minutes reflect the board's actions were. I know what my memory tells me, but there's also a reason we keep written records. So I will get with Mr. Morone. We'll have the clerk's office pull the records. We'll see where the details are, and we'll report back to the board.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd also like to overlay all of these comments with whatever the appropriate direction for the board would be to look at the structure of the current officers in that Lanark Village Volunteer Fire Department, and consider what, if any, actions our board should have about retention of those officers, or whether they should be recommended to resign.
Mr. Chairman, sir. When I became aware of this issue yesterday afternoon, I stayed in a little bit last night and did some research. Certainly not complete at this point, but based on the preliminary understanding of the facts and the law, it's very clear that the Lanark Village Volunteer Fire Department, like the other 6 volunteer fire departments, are all private, nonprofit corporations. The County Commission did not organize those corporations. We are not owners or operators of that corporation. However, it does provide a public service on behalf of this board to a certain extent, because the Florida statutes give this board the authority to provide fire protection services, and in this case, you are doing so sort of in a public-private partnership with these private corporations. They are receiving public funds based on an MSBU ordinance that this board has adopted. So they're using those public funds. They are purchasing equipment. They're getting training with public funds. So we certainly have some skin in the game. I don't think we rise to the level of having the ability to micromanage the internal structures of the officers and their operations. Does not mean that we do not have recourse if it continues at this level of dysfunction, because the input of MSBU public funds, I believe, gives us standing, but ultimately the resolution of the issues that you're referring to and what was referred to during public comment, ultimately it would very well take a judge to resolve it with finality if it can't be worked out internally within that private corporation. But in terms of our ability by fiat to say, well, this board is valid and this other board is not, I don't really think at this point on my preliminary investigation that the board has that type of authority. But again, I've only had a couple of hours to look at this and consider that issue. It really just came to a head yesterday around 3 o'clock when I found out about, folks were coming, and we had the organizational meeting, or the whatever meeting it was that Lanark had last Thursday evening. So again, that's my preliminary thoughts on the matter. But that is a separate issue from the audit. I mean, very clearly we can follow the paper trail on the audit that the board ordered. The audit speaks for itself, and it's bad from my perspective. But in terms of where it lies now and what's happened, I don't really want to delve into that this morning until I've had a chance to get with Mr. Morone, look at the record, make sure that my memory is as accurate as I would like to think that it is. So, but I will, either myself and Mr. Morone jointly, or one of the other of us will look into it and report back to you via email and then publicly at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Yes, sir.
As it relates to board members for that fire department, isn't that all controlled by the bylaws?
Yes, like all corporations, they have articles and corporations and bylaws.
As stated this morning, they said he's going by the 1990, the fire chief, as I'm speaking about, is going by the 1997 bylaws, when the bylaws were updated in 2005. As statutes change and different requirements are done by statute, then the bylaws are amended to reflect what the current statute says or requirement of the volunteer fire department. So we shouldn't be going by 1997 bylaws, we should be going by the most recent bylaws. What those are, I don't know. But in those bylaws, it spells out how elections are held, blah, 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 how many board members that you should have on that board. I'm sure, I haven't seen the bylaws, all that has to be in those bylaws. So whenever members of St. James Lanark Fire District wants to appoint themselves, you got to go by watching the bylaws, where they're not being afforded the opportunity to see the bylaws, so they don't know what the bylaws are, as does anyone sitting here. So that's a major issue. You got to go by what's in your current bylaws, and as Florida statutes change, those bylaws change, they're updated, just like a comp plan or anything else is updated periodically. So without that kind of knowledge, how's this board supposed to do anything? As the attorney stated, it's really not our job to do that. But somebody needs to be looking at the bylaws And somebody needs to be determining how election would be held if they want a new election. How many board members are supposed to have? And I have to agree with the young lady at the podium this morning. A man, his girlfriend, and his sister just doesn't make sense to me to constitute a board. Also, there's a number of amount of hours of training each one of these volunteers have to have, which is what the MSBU funds are for, to help pay for that training. And the young lady spoke about having to have I forget what she called it, but I know what she's talking about. Whoever drives that fire truck has to have 16 hours of training, or first time training. After that, you do periodically, yearly updates. What I'm being told is the 1997 bylaws are operating under doesn't require that. Well, when the statute changed that it does now require that, that's in the 2005 update. You can't go back and say, well, we're using 1997 because it don't require what the statute requires. That ain't gonna work. You got to do what Florida statutes require you to do. So I mean, there's major issues over there. I hope they get it all worked out.
Mr. Chairman, to follow on what Commissioner Parrish just said, I want to be very clear. The county, meaning us, me, your administrative office, we do not have a copy of either set of bylaws. So I've been receiving public records requests, for those. We do not have a copy of that. Commissioner Bull was giving the treasurers 3 years of the treasurer's file, is what basically I can say, Commissioner. That has in it treasurer's reports, some minutes, some bank statements. That's what we have, and I've turned that over to records requests as I can. I disagree with the redaction rule, but we'll get to that some other time. But that's all we have. Some invoices, backup. That's it. I need to be very clear. We do not have any copies of any bylaws for that organization in-house at all. So,
well, Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes.
do we have the financial records or bylaws for any of the other fire districts?
No, sir.
Have we ever had?
Actually, this is the most since I've been here I've ever received in any fire district.
We probably never had to because there was no misappropriation of funds, hopefully, like there is with this one apparently.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
As I think of this conversation, I also would like to have us consider, with guidance of the fire marshal and legal guidance, that we might consider, since we're learning from the impairments of the Lanark Village Fire Department, perhaps it's appropriate for the county to begin considering developing a contract of the standards of practice that we as a county board require based on Florida statutes for the management of MSBU funds, and what are standards of practice and outcomes that we should expect from every one of our fire departments, just not only the one in Lanark Village. I think we'll potentially have some guidance with that, with the potential workshop that we're working on having soon. Can we consider some of that thinking?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Merle, do we have the audit from this fire department that was done whenever it was done?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have access to that?
Yes.
At least, okay.
Yes.
This didn't go back similar to the other boat they had, the water and sewer. You gotta be careful, 'cause I seen some knockdown dragouts on that one. They went.
Oh, you mean in when they merged the water and sewer districts?
Yes.
No.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I remember that too, Mr. Noel.
I wasn't a part of that great conversation. I wasn't a part of that conversation.
I know, you wasn't even here, but and they went to war. Poop, poop.
Mr. Chairman, that's why your hair isn't that great, because you weren't here for those conversations. So, yes.
So I'm just waiting on the outcome now.
So to wrap this up, I understand you're going to bring something back to us at the next meeting.
You will have that information communicated to you before the next board meeting, but I'm sure the board will want to address it publicly as well.
Okay.
And it being the status of where the audit is,
right,
is where we are. I mean, I'm not, and I wouldn't recommend the board give me any directions to get involved in trying to wrangle the internal structure of a private corporation, even though it is providing essentially on behalf of the public fire protection services, which the county is authorized and empowered to provide.
Yeah.
So there is certainly a kind of a great public aspect to that private corporation. Frankly, they need to lawyer up and get their own attorneys and figure it out themselves and provide the protection to the public that they were expected to provide, just like the other fire districts are expected to provide.
Okay.
This level of dysfunction is very disheartening.
Okay. All right, anything else from you, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. Up next is commissioners' comments.
Mr. Chairman, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Have a good turkey day and don't eat too much. I mean, eat too much, but,
Just don't do it all past the one day, right?
That's right, disgrace.
Best wishes to everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I would like to, a couple of things, make the board aware. Michael mentioned this morning about the Equal Shot program. So Franklin County basketball varsity starts out their schedule today. They're playing preseason game. I think they're playing Bay High at Rutherford today. And listen, we had a pretty rough year so far with football. We're rebuilding, but basketball, they're not going to be so lucky. We're not rebuilding, we're just reloading. So if you want to see some good and exciting basketball, I'll make sure to get the schedule to Michael so commissioners can have it in the coming months and weeks. And look forward to that. The other thing I wanted to make sure the rest of the commissioners are aware, we've had several discussions here about workforce housing over the time. We've never taken an official action, but tonight at the workshop that the school board is having, I will be presenting to them a scenario where they could look at giving back to the county the acreage there by the Sheriff's Department for the purpose of pursuing workforce housing and to see how they feel about it. That is property that belonged to us first, and we gave it to them in some form or fashion transaction. I just believe it would help the county overall and the school district to have workforce housing. We can't go in and I'll go ahead and tell you now, because people have asked me, we're not looking at creating 300 homes, because it is 27 acres, in the next, year or two. Maybe 25 or 30, you have to start somewhere, because if you can't build more than faster than what they're being filled up. And you also have to keep in mind there's a balance, not only with our workforce and what's needed, but the school district, I think they're held by statute for the number of teachers they have and everything. They can't have but so many students increase over an amount of time. So all those things are being considered. I just want this board to know that I'm going to be talking to the school board. I don't know that they'll vote tonight because it is a workshop, but I just want to make sure you're aware.
Mr. Chairman, before everybody goes, I know you're wishing everyone happy Thanksgiving. She's watching, listening, and still running in the background. Let's all wish Courtney good luck, because it could be a matter of days, it could be a matter of hours.
Yeah, very good.
So we wish her good luck, and make sure everything works out the best for her. We're eager to see her come back.
That's right. That's right.
I have one comment, Mr.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As Veteran Day is come and gone, I was watching the news on Veterans Day, and they had a 93-year-old veteran on there. He talked about his dedication and his service to the country and what it meant to him. And the question was asked, well, if you had one wish to make, what would you like your wish to be? He said, to have this country reunited. It's not about Republicans, it's not about Democrats, it's about doing what's right for the people and protecting our democracy. I sat there listening, and that really hit home for me. If you notice, our legislative delegation come by themselves. That's never happened while I've been a commissioner. Our legislative delegation come regardless of party affiliation. They came together. Your House member and your Senate member come in and had their delegation meeting. This year we had 2 different delegation meetings, because one's a Democrat and one's a Republican. They couldn't sit down and talk about the county's issues or the city's issues or the issues of Franklin County in general, because they were not, I'm for Democrats and I'm for Republicans. I'm a registered Democrat, but I don't vote what the Democrats believe. I vote what I believe is the right thing for the people of Franklin County. It ain't about an R behind my name or a D behind my name. And I just thought it's appropriate to remind people, the viewing public and my commissioners, that it ain't about an R and a D. It's about doing what's right for the people. We can agree to disagree. I don't agree with everything every board member up here does or says, but I don't take it personal either. I don't take it home with me when I leave this board meeting. It's over with. I voted my conscience, my fellow board members vote their conscience, and that's the way it is. It's not R and D. It's about what we all think is in the best interest of the people that we were elected to represent. So I wanted to make that plea to the general public that, you know, I too, like that 93-year-old veteran, would like to see this country more reunited and doing what they think is right for the country, not for the party, for the country and the people of this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also just compliment what you just said. I think that's very, very appropriate. And not only that, but as we look at how we unite ourselves among different entities within the community, how does the county bond with the cities in the county's districts and other entities to develop grants and funding and all those kinds of financial complements that we can make. And I think we need to stop thinking about boundaries and start thinking about how to bond.
Mr. Chairman, and also I'd like to add that, you know, the veteran said this is why my fellow comrades and myself elected to go into the military, was to protect the rights and the freedoms of the people of the United States. Didn't matter if you were Republican or Democrat, we fought and we died, a lot of us died, protecting those rights. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think the country as a whole would be a whole lot better off if we got back to that.
I agree.
Mr. Lockwood?
I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to the workers and to the county. Y'all enjoy your day.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and I think I'll echo what Commissioner Parrish has said. That's why I think the best form of government is local government. That's where people are closest to the representatives. I think that echoes what the Commissioner was saying here today. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Meeting adjourned.